What's up, family? Listen, there is nothing that I love more than a love story. But today, I want to talk about the greatest love story of all. And many people, when they talk about the story of Ruth, and they talk about Naomi, and they talk about Boaz, they talk about this marriage and this union, which is great. It's a beautiful thing. But it is not the greatest love story. It's not, I promise you. It is not the greatest love of all. I'm going to prove it to you. So I want to first shout out December, who is a really good friend of mine. She has inspired me to really dive into this text right here and provided me with some incredible insight. And I want to hit you with this part first. So she told me, we don't choose our family. We don't choose our mother, our father, sisters, brothers. We don't get to choose that. But when we decide to become in a relationship with someone or marry someone, we not only choose them, but now we're choosing our family. We are. And a friend of mine, Reggie, has always reminded me that, yes, it's great to want a relationship and to be in a relationship. But you have to be thinking about, are you prepared for what's on the back side of that? So there's beautiful things that come with that connection. The love, the joy, the memories, and all the good things. But they're just like anything else in life, there will be challenges. There will be some struggles. Are you really prepared for that? Are you made for that? So what I want to talk about today is Ruth. And I don't care if you are a man or a woman. All of us can benefit from who Ruth became, who Ruth was. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, whatever you're going through in your life, I want you to write this down. Serve your way out of it. When you don't know what else to do, serve God for one, but find a way to serve someone else. I heard Darius Daniel say that the enemy wants us to be so distracted by our situation, by our problems, that we can't help someone solve their problems, that we can't help someone work through their difficulties. So don't let the enemy tie you down to what's happening with you. All right? Serve your way out. So y'all ready for this message? I'm so excited about this. I don't know what to do. All right. So we're going to be reading out of Ruth. So if you have your Bibles, open that up to Ruth. It's a really, really short book in the Bible, which I love. I'm just saying. And we're going to be in Ruth chapter 1. But the first thing that I want to do before I get into the content, let me give you a little context. So here's the story right here. Ruth is the daughter-in-law of Naomi, right? So Naomi is a Israelite. She has 2 sons and she's married. So she has her husband and 2 sons. Her 2 sons marry as well. One of them marries Ruth and one of them marries Orpah. Not Oprah, Orpah, okay? Looks like Oprah though, right? Just saying. And what happens is Naomi's husband dies. So Naomi loses her husband. And then bad just gets worse. Naomi loses both of her sons, okay? Not one of them, both of them. So she's lost all the men in her life. So what remains now is Naomi, her daughter-in-law Orpah, and her daughter-in-law Ruth. So people talk about Naomi being bitter and being broken, but rightfully so. This woman has lost everything, like Job did, right? And now she looks to her daughters and daughter-in-law and say, you know what? God has turned his back on me. I am hopeless, but you are not. You still have time. So she said, depart, go on. Go on your own path and your own journey. I'm going back home. You still have a chance to find a husband and maybe even have children and build a life for yourself. So Orpah hears this and she like, you know what? I done lost my father-in-law. I done lost my husband. Okay. And I'm not moving from the town that I know. So you're right. I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to stay here and try to build a life for myself. Now, Ruth hears this and she said, no, ma'am. And I write this word down. Ruth remains. Now, Naomi loses a lot, but Ruth has lost a lot too. She loses her father-in-law. She's lost her husband. She's losing her sister-in-law, so to speak, right? And then she also is losing part of her mother-in-law because her mother-in-law is broken down. She is hopeless, right? She's not the same woman that she was. And now Naomi is wanting to move to go to Israel, which means Ruth, who is a Moabite and they're in Moab, would have to move from there as well. But Ruth remains. Okay? So now we're going to go into this text, and I want to take you to Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. And this is the New King James Version. So when Naomi asked Ruth to leave, to go on about her life, baby, you go on, baby. Good luck, okay? You don't want the wrath that God has placed on me. You don't want these problems. Save yourself. Ruth said no. She said, wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you stay, I will stay. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Now, some of y'all should have jumped up right there. You talking about Boaz. Are y'all hearing this? Did you feel that down deep in your spirit? This is what you want to hear from someone else. Where you going? I'm going. I'm going to follow you. I will live with you. I will die with you. I will remain. So Naomi was like, well, shoot, I can't. Okay, come on, girl. Pack your bags now. Come on. Since you just, that's how you feeling? Come on. The greatest love story. This is where this love story begins. So I want you to write down these qualities of Ruth, okay? Ruth is loyal. Are you loyal? Ruth is committed. Are you committed? Ruth is obedient. God is placing this in her spirit. God is carefully orchestrating this. And she has surrendered what she wants in her way to serve someone else. She is obedient. She is patient. She is compassionate. She is nurturing. She is supportive. Ruth is brave. She might even be afraid, but she's brave. Ruth is faithful and she is chosen, and so are you. Okay? Those are the qualities of Ruth, and there's more. Those are just a few that I highlighted here. Okay? So let's talk about how the rest of this story goes. Now, Ruth decides to follow Naomi. They go back to Israel, right? And now they got to find food. They don't have no man taking care of them. So Ruth is like, I got this, Naomi. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go in the field. Whatever's left over after everybody get their stuff, I'm going to grab us something to eat. And I'm going to bring it back to you. And she did that. She continued to do that day after day after day. Might even been years. We don't even know how long she did this. And then one day, she goes into a field, getting those little scraps to take back to her mother-in-law, to take care of her. And she catches the attention of Boaz. What she does not know is that Boaz is a relative of Naomi's husband who passed away. So that's Naomi's family right there. Now, she doesn't know that, okay? She comes back to Naomi, tells her where she gets the things and who she met, the person she met. And Naomi, now most people, when they've lost their husband and they've lost their children and all this, they can't help you. They can't get excited for you. But she does. Hope comes back. Excitement comes back. her faith bubbles up and comes back. Now, one thing about Naomi is she never stopped. Even though she was upset and angry and bitter and whatever that is, and she said, y'all call me Mora because that's the name, bitter, and God has forsaken me, but she kept moving. So she had not given up completely. And she was not so focused on her situation. And now when Ruth came back, that she couldn't help Ruth. And Dr. Darius Daniel, oh my gosh, Dr. Darius Daniels says that the enemy wants you to be so focused on your hurt, your pain, your loss, your trials, your defeats, that you can't help somebody else, that you can't encourage somebody else, that you can't lift somebody else up. Don't let the enemy do that. He wants you to be so consumed with your problems that you can't solve the problems of other people. Now, Naomi comes out of that immediately and she's like, wait, you met who? Who? What'd he do? Okay, listen, honey, let me tell you now. Take this rouge, all right, and take this juicy couture, okay, spray a little bit out on you now. All right, take these threads. I got them at Ross, but they nice. I'll put that on. All right, prepare yourself. Okay, and go back. Go back to the field and catch this man's attention. So she is mentoring her. She is guiding her. She is coaching her. She is loving her. And Ruth goes back out into the field, gets the attention of Boaz, and Boaz, eventually, the two of them get married, right? What I love about this story is the first time that Ruth met Boaz was not the time that they connected. She was focused on serving. She trying to get this food and these scraps to come back and take care of her mother-in-law. She ain't thinking about no man. And Boaz really wasn't either. Like she caught his attention, but he still was operating under God. Because he said, this is a beautiful woman, an amazing woman, but there is a way that this needs to happen. He knew that God is a God of order. So he reached out first to see who would be the appropriate person to marry Ruth and to restore the family, and who would maintain the land and maintain the name. And he tried to do that. But the person declined it. They said, we'll take the woman. Well, we ain't promising we gonna keep her name and the husband's name and all that kind of stuff. Like, nah, we not doing that. So Boaz says, fine, I will marry her. I will restore this family. I will make sure that they maintain their name and their legacy. So he steps into it. He is obedient to Ruth, how Ruth was obedient to Naomi. Oh my God. So that's how that went down. All right. Maybe they fell in love after that. They have a child, okay, and their son name is Obed. So now Naomi has her daughter-in-law. She has a son-in-law or son, however you want to frame it, okay? But now she also has a grandchild too, so to speak, right? So God is restoring this. He also makes sure that they maintain their land. And what we know about Boaz is wealthy. So they don't have to struggle anymore. Now get this. Obed, who is the son of Ruth and Boaz, okay? He becomes the father of Jesse. Jesse becomes the father of David. And we all know who David is, right? So Ruth and Boaz, all these names, become the great grandparents of David. And just think, at one point, Naomi lost her husband and her sons. Ruth had lost everything. They were homeless. They were hungry. They felt like God had turned his back on them. But they remained. They were obedient. continue to serve, continue to be faithful. And God restored them. He redeemed them. God was with them the entire time. So I just want you to know that no matter what's going on in your situation and in your life right now, God has a plan. He has a plan, just like he said in the Bible. He has a plan to prosper you. He does not have a plan to harm you, even though it may feel like that. Sometimes it's like, God, where are you? God, what are you doing? I just don't see it. You're not supposed to see it. Ruth didn't see it coming. And God doesn't want you to see it coming because he's building you. He's preparing you. He is conforming you. He is shaping you. Because it's not about the husband. It's not about the house. It's not about the food. It's not about the job. It's not about any of those things. What God wants is he wants you. He wants your attention. He wants your service. He wants humility. He wants to be your number one. He wants to be that in your life. Nothing else and no one else should come before him. So I pray that this story blesses you. It's definitely one that has encouraged me and blessed me. And just like TD Jakes said, no matter what happens in life, don't let life make you change your name. God bless y'all.